So as some of you have probably heard, Paizo just announced Starfinder 2E. And I've been looking for a second game to cover on this channel, and this seems like the perfect one. So today I'm going to be covering the soldier field tests. I'm not going to cover the other stuff that they covered, like the weapons and stuff, but I will be covering the soldier class. I know, I normally don't do this kind of stuff because it just takes too long to cover a full class. But the field test only goes from level 1 to 5. So, I think I can probably cover it in the time it usually takes for me to cover something in a video. With all that being said, let's just get right into this. So let's just start with the fact this looks like it's a constitution-based class, and it gets 10 plus constitution modifier for hit points, which means it's going to have more hit points than your basic starting barbarian, which is kind of insane. I mean, granted, it's not much, but it is more than a barbarian with a 14 constitution, which is already pretty nice. Then it looks like you're trained in perception, okay, and expert in fortitude, trained in reflex, and trained in will. All right, cool. Now, for skills, it looks like trained in intimidation. That's interesting. That's very interesting, actually. That means probably charisma is going to be an important stat for them, too. And then 3 plus intelligence modifier on the other skills. Okay, okay. It looks like they're setting this up like classes in Pathfinder 2e, which makes sense because they did say that they were going to make it fully compatible with Pathfinder 2e. That you can mix and match these classes in between the systems, which is already pretty cool. Anyway, trained in simple and martial weapons as well as unarmed attacks, obviously. And trained in all armor and unarmored defense, as well as soldier class DC. Okay, this is all pretty standard. Okay, okay. Now, let's take a look and see what we've got. Okay, soldier advancement from 1 to 5. Ancestry and background makes sense. Initial proficiencies, attribute boosts. That's what they're calling ability boosts now. Suppressing fire. That's interesting. I'll have to see what that does. Also, I'll have to see what primary target does. And it looks like you're going to be able to choose a fighting style, which is interesting. Walking armory, which is another ability, I'm sure, and a soldier feat because it's a martial class. Second level is pretty standard, skill feat and a soldier feat. Fearsome bulwark. Okay, that sounds interesting. That probably has to do with their training and intimidation. And a general feat and a skill increase. Okay. Level 4 is basically the same as Pathfinder 2e, a skill feat and a soldier feat. And then we've got an ancestry feat, attribute boost, skill increase, and soldier weapon mastery. Okay. Okay. That sounds like the thing that's going to make them an expert in their weapons, which is fine. All right, let's take a look at what some of these things do. So, okay, ancestry and background, initial proficiencies, and attribute boosts are pretty much the same as they are in Pathfinder 2e. You can read it on screen if you're not familiar with Pathfinder 2e, like if you're coming from Starfinder. But for the most part, I'm covering this for Pathfinder 2e players because these classes are going to be available to Pathfinder 2e players as well. Okay, suppressing fire. You have a knack for using powerful weapons to hinder your foes and prevent them from operating at their peak. If you make an attack with a weapon that has the area trait, such as from the auto area fire or auto fire actions, you can use it in a manner that suppresses your targets. Creatures in the affected area who fail their saves against your attack become suppressed, see sidebar, until the start of your next turn. A suppressed target takes a -1 circumstance penalty to attack rolls and a -5 foot status penalty to speeds. Okay, that's actually incredible. Because circumstance penalties to attack rolls are very rare. And keep in mind that you can combine that with status penalties from things like enfeebled and clumsy, as well as frightened, which this class seems to be pretty good at, but we'll see. And it's harder to reach it's harder to reach the enemies, and it's harder for the enemies to reach targets that you don't want them to be near. Okay, one more time. And it's harder for enemies to get to targets that you don't want them to reach. So, like your ranged attackers, including yourself, which is very, very handy. Let's see what the condition says. Sidebar. You have been affected. So, new condition suppressed. You have been affected by high volume of incoming fire or a particularly dangerous attack that forces you to act less efficiently for your own safety. You take a -1 penalty, circumstance penalty on attack rolls, and a -5 foot status penalty to your speed. Okay, so it sounds like suppressed is basically you got to be careful because otherwise you're gonna get hit with even more damage, which is why it's harder for you to hit people and why your speed is lower. Makes sense. All right, primary target. When you make an attack with an area of effect weapon, such as from area fire or auto fire actions, you can choose to make a ranged attack roll against a single creature either adjacent to the center point of the attack or the closest within a cone or line, instead of requiring that creature to make a save. If two or more creatures are closest and equidistant, you can choose one as your primary target. Other creatures within the area of effect must save against the effect as normal. If you successfully hit your primary target, the target is suppressed until the start of your next turn. Okay, so basically, okay, let me see here. It doesn't say. Huh. I haven't seen anything yet that says what type of save is required, but it looks like you can choose a target within the area. So, like maybe a creature that has a high, I don't know, reflex save or something. Whatever save they need to make, if it's high, you can use an attack roll against them rather than making them save. Which, honestly, is pretty handy, I have to admit. Yeah, makes it easier for you to suppress them, which is fantastic. All right, and then we get into soldier fighting styles. As a soldier, you apply yourself to a specific style of combat. Your style how you tend to approach combat, and how you take advantage of your abilities to suppress targets. Use a soldier fighting style. The fighting styles presented in this book are as follows. Okay, let's take a look here. Oh, okay, let's see here. Field note, designing the soldier. The soldier is a class that the Starfinder team wanted to make sure wasn't just the fighter in space. Their approach so far has been to design the soldier as a class that can absorb more damage than the fighter, with a similar scaling to the champion class in terms of its defensive abilities. Somewhat balancing out the soldier's use of constitution as a key attribute, soldier specializes in big two-handed guns and weapons, which means they probably aren't digging too deep into using shields and are benefiting from the peak of AC. The Starfinder team wanted to explore the design space of area weapons in Starfinder, letting them focus on the use of these weapons by a class. Okay, interesting. So it sounds like this is going to be more like a champion than a fighter. But they can't use shields because they want to use two-handed weapons. Okay, so it's kind of similar to a barbarian and a champion in one. Kind of. I guess is what they're getting at here. So, moving on. Okay, so the first one is Armor Storm. Your armor is an extension of your skin or other appropriate surface layer. You're able to leverage it alongside the heavy weapons you employ. Foes you suppress quickly stumble when attempting to overcome your durability, granting you an edge in absorbing their incoming firepower. You likely move to the forefront and try to focus your enemy's attention on yourself. You never count as being in the area of a ranged weapon you've made an attack with. In addition, you gain resistance equal to half your level, minimum 1, against attacks made from suppressed targets. Huh. Well, that's definitely the champion one, for sure. Because that kind of makes up for the fact that you can't really use a shield. And it looks like if you have a weapon that has like a, what's the word I'm looking for? It looks like if you have a weapon that is it looks like if you have a weapon that uses a large area, then you're not going to get hit by it, which is fantastic. An emanation, that's the word I'm looking for. If it has an emanation centered on you, you're not going to get hit by it, which is pretty amazing, actually. Yeah. I guess there's going to be weapons like that? I'm not sure. But anyway, let's move on to Bombard. There's nothing like a reliable heavy gun, or maybe several different types of heavy guns, to get you through the tough times of adventuring in space. You've come to terms with the fact that your weapons might sometimes hit your allies, but work to minimize such instances of unintentional friendly fire. In fact, you've honed your skills with heavy weapons so much that all but the most indirect of strikes cause your opponents to duck down or force them to adapt to the havoc you unleash. When you attack with an area weapon, you can adjust the shot to allow allies to better avoid it. Decrease the DC by 2 for any allies who need to make a save against your area effects. In addition, enemies who succeed, but not critically succeed, their save against your area attack are still suppressed until the start of your next turn. Okay, that's pretty cool. So basically this is, you're not going to hit your allies, and, well, your allies are going to be better equipped to avoid your area attacks, and They're suppressed even if they succeed on their saving throw. That's dope. That is completely dope. And then we have close quarters. While you still have the necessary training to employ heavy weapons, you've learned that it's important to keep a backup for when foes get too close. You're able to easily switch between long range and close combat, allowing you to better stand your ground when you need to, or defend your allies in a tricky situation. Blows with heavy close combat weapons punish your foes just as effectively as if you fired a roto laser or a missile launcher. When you successfully make a strike with a two-handed melee weapon, you suppress the target until the start of your next turn. In addition, you gain the punitive strike reaction. Okay, let's see what that's about. Punitive strike. A suppressed creature within your reach uses a manipulate action or a move action, or leaves a square during a move action it's using. Your foe momentary lapse in defense gives you an opening. Make a melee strike against the. Oh, okay. So this is basically attack of opportunity. Yeah, this is attack of opportunity. Okay. Yep, this is 100% attack of opportunity. It's just called punitive strike, and they have to be suppressed, which is fine. Yeah. That's pretty handy, actually. Yeah. All right. Now we get to walking armory. You bring the heaviest armor and largest weapons to bear, but you also have the capability of carrying them and all and keeping them up. When determining your strength threshold for using medium or heavy armor, you can instead choose to use your Constitution modifier. If you already meet the strength requirement for your armor you're wearing, reduce that armor's bulk by 1 to a minimum of 1. In addition, increase the amount of bulk you can carry before being encumbered by half your Constitution modifier rounded up. Increase the maximum bulk. Increase your maximum carried bulk by your Constitution modifier rounded up. Okay. Okay. So this is so you can carry like a whole bunch of heavy weapons. That's pretty handy, actually. Yeah. Especially for that one that wants to use ranged and melee. The close quarters one. Yeah, that's gonna really help that one. And of course we've got soldier feats and skill feats, obviously. That's the same thing as in Pathfinder 2e. Then we've got Fearsome Bulwark. Okay. Your sheer mass terrifies foes when they see you. You can use your Constitution modifier instead of your Charisma modifier on intimidation checks. Huh. So, once you hit 3rd level, you don't even need Charisma to intimidate. You just use your Con. Wow. Okay, so I guess the soldier doesn't even need Charisma. At least not when they hit 3rd level, they don't. Huh, okay. Skill increases seems to be the same thing as it is in Pathfinder 2e. Same thing with general feats and ancestry feats. And then we've got Soldier Weapon Mastery. Your proficiency ranks in simple weapons and martial weapons increases to expert. You also gain the critical specialization effects for weapons with the area or automatic traits. Okay, that's what I thought. It's the you become expert in your weapons one. That makes sense. At 5th level, huh? Okay. So I think they get a little. So I think they do get expert in weapons a little quicker than champions do, which is pretty cool. Then we get to key terms. Okay, maybe this tells me You'll see the following key terms in many soldier class features. Suppress is a condition often applied to the soldier when using area weapons against targets. Suppressed creatures might receive additional conditions or negative effects based on specific soldier abilities and class feats. When a creature is suppressed, other effects may enhance certain actions made against the target. For more information, see page 5. Okay, so that's up 1. That makes sense. Okay. That might be in the actual weapons. What save you need might actually be in the weapon. Yeah. And then of course we get to soldier feats. At first level and at second and fourth, you're gonna get one of these. Okay. Pin down. For one action, your last action was an attack with a area weapon. Select one creature that was in the area of the effect of your prior attack. That creature must make a save against your attack again. This effect deals no damage, but can inflict the suppressed condition on a target who previously saved against it. That's a level 1 feat? Oh my god. So basically, you use your area weapon, and so basically you use your area weapon, and then you can use this feat to make them save again. That should not be a level 1 feat. At least I don't think it should be. It should be like level 2. Yeah. And we got quick swap. You are wielding a two-handed weapon and one creature moves adjacent to you. You stow your current weapon and draw another two-handed weapon. If you have multiple sets of arms, you can instead choose a set to become active. This is for the melee one. Yeah, that is 100% for the melee one. All right, cool. Ready, reload. You're wielding a two-handed ranged weapon with a reload of 2 or more, and your last action this turn was an attack action that consumed ammunition from the weapon. Okay. Reloading a weapon can be a delicate process, but you've mastered how to do so in the middle of combat, beginning the process while still in the act of firing your weapon. You can interact and reload your weapon twice. Okay, that's pretty handy, actually. Yeah, for one action, this is basically quick rapid reload, except for a. This is basically rapid reload, except for a two-handed ranged weapon with reload of 2 or more only. Yeah. And that's pretty handy, especially since it normally takes 2 actions to reload your weapon. And you get to do it twice for 1 action. Insane. Alright. Warning shots. Is this what I think it is? For free action when you roll initiative, if you're wielding a weapon with the area or automatic trait, as combat begins, you unleash a quick volley with your weapon, forcing advancing foes to cower on approach. Make an area fire or automatic fire with your weapon. Creatures in the area take no damage, but still must attempt to save to avoid being suppressed. So this is basically, you get to suppress them before you even go, which is pretty nice, I have to admit. Or at least try to anyway. Alright, let's move on to menacing laughter. Your laughter, or a suitable war cry, can somehow be heard over the din of your weapon's fire. Attempt intimidation checks to demoralize each creature within 30 feet who you suppress this turn. Yeah, this is the one that they talked about in the stream. And this is pretty cool, actually. I thought it was just going to be, intimidate one foe. But no, it's every foe. It's basically every foe you intimidate. It's basically every foe you suppress this turn. And keep in mind, suppressing is a circumstance bonus. And keep in mind, suppressing is a circumstance penalty, while frightened is a status penalty. Which means those two do stack. It's just freaking awesome. I love that. Alright, let's look at Relentless Endurance. For reaction, when you take damage once per hour, you come back stronger. You gain 1d8 plus 4 temporary hit points that last for 10 minutes. Increase this amount by 1d8 plus 4 for every 4 levels you have beyond 2nd level. Okay, so this is basically the way you heal yourself with this class. I don't know. It's not a huge amount of healing, to be honest. So this is okay, and it only helps you, but I mean, staying up is a good way to help the team. So it's okay. It is a pretty decent amount of healing, but it's just healing. Then we have Steady Up. You are wielding a weapon with an area or automatic trait for 1 action. Okay. You brace yourself to better fire your weapon and not be easily moved. Until the start of your next turn, your next area fire or automatic fire takes 1 action instead of 2. And if you would be moved 10 feet or less by a forced movement effect, you don't move at all. Taking a later move action negates this effect. This should be a stance. This should 100% be a stance. I do think this should be... It is until the start of your next turn, so maybe not. But I do feel like this could be a stance. Yeah. Moving on to level 4 feats. Overwhelming Assaults. You're able to overcome the defenses of suppressed foes with repeated attacks. Your multiple attack penalty for attacks against suppressed targets is -4 or -3 with an agile weapon on your second attack instead of -5, and -9, -8 with an agile weapon on your third or subsequent attack of the turn instead of -10. I don't think they need to put the agile thing, because you're never gonna use an agile weapon with this class. I mean, agile weapons are meant to be small and easily able to be flung around. They're usually one-handed weapons. And this class wants to use two-handed weapons. So I don't think they need to put the agile thing. But being able to reduce your multiple attack penalty against suppressed foes is pretty nice, I have to admit. But yeah, I don't see why you would need to put the agile weapon thing here, because you're never going to use an agile weapon with this class. At least I don't think. Moving on to Punishing Salvo. It's 1 action, and your last action this turn was a primary target strike. Okay. You can make a second strike against your primary target, ignoring the effect of the unwieldy trait that prevents additional attacks. This doesn't make the new area attack, and instead it's just treated as a single strike against the target made using the primary target rules. Okay. So the way I see it, it's like you basically make an area attack against a bunch of enemies, and then you like hit the target with one of your with your weapon, or like one 1 piece of ammunition. Okay. That makes sense. That's going to be good for the close quarters one. Yeah, that is 100% going to be good for that one. Moving on, we have Widen Area. Is this like Widen Spell? Okay, it does have the Manipulate trait, and it's 1 action. You set up your area weapon to affect more targets. If your next action is to use an attack with an area weapon that has an area of a burst, cone, or line, increase the area of that attack. Add 5 feet to the radius of a burst that normally has a radius of at least 10 feet. A burst with a smaller radius is not affected. Add 5 feet to the length of a cone or line that is normally 15 feet or long or smaller, and add 10 feet to the length of a larger cone or line. Yeah, this is basically Widen Spell for your area attacks. Yeah. Sounds good. It does have the Manipulate trait, so you got to be careful about attacks of opportunity against creatures that have that, but otherwise it's pretty nice. Be able to hit more targets. So overall, I gotta say, I'm loving this class so far. I do think there's definitely teamwork potential here, but like I said, this only goes from level 1 to 5. So that means that we're going to have to see what this class can do at higher levels. I am going to be trying to do a teamwork build for this class later on. But, of course, with Rage of Elements coming out, that might not happen for a while. The other thing is, I am going to have to use Pathfinder 2E races because we don't have any Starfinder races yet. But overall, I would love to see how this class functions with, say, the champion archetype. That would be pretty cool, I have to admit. We'll see how it works. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, and don't forget to check out the Patreon page for exclusive perks. Link is in the description. Hopefully this video does well, and I can continue covering Starfinder 2E for you guys. Although, it'll probably be a while before I do any other Starfinder 2E stuff, because, well, you know, I have to wait until the next field test, but, you know, we'll see what you guys think. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, teamwork is vital.